On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, we've got a reported date for the first driverless robotaxi rides in Austin, Texas, along with a long-ago autonomy forecast that might finally be on the cusp of coming true. Plus, Tesla's letting you take a 2-day test drive of any car you'd like, Rivian takes a big step towards the R2 going into full production, and more. What's happening, friends? Welcome to Ride the Lightning. It's your weekly Tesla and EV podcast. This is your 513th weekly episode. This one's publishing on June 1st, 2025. I'm recording it here in the evening of May 30th, 2025. Daisy the Boxer is to my left, and somewhere elsewhere in the house, not in this room where I'm recording, is Mine of the Future Service Dog and Lily, the silly Labrador puppy. So hopefully they will keep their shenanigans to an audible minimum, and I can just get this podcast done without any crazy dog sounds in the background. Well, starting off with some fun news this week, a number of you probably already got this email from Tesla, but in case you hadn't heard, Tesla is currently offering 48-hour test drives of anything you want. Now, obviously, of course, Tesla's trying to sell cars here, but hey, what better way to do that than to just let you take it home and live with it for a night or two? Because as we all know, that's a very different experience than you simply taking it out for 30 minutes near the Tesla store, basically 15 minutes out, 15 minutes back. And so this is a great excuse for plenty of you to go out and try the new Model Y, I'm sure a lot of you will be doing that. But honestly, if I may, I would personally recommend that all of you go test drive the Cybertruck. Even if you have no intention of buying it, just go check it out so that you can get the steer-by-wire experience. I mean, you've heard me gush about the steer-by-wire experience a million times, so I'm not going to bog down the top of this podcast by doing it again, but it's really a trip, and it's super cool tech that is much better experienced than explained. You know, I figured after I wrote these notes, I was like, you know what? Why don't I make this the subject of this week's Patreon poll? So I did. The question this week on patreon.com/Tesla podcast was, which Tesla would you take on a 48-hour test drive? Now, I just said, if you don't have the Cybertruck available or the SRX available in your country, your territory, don't worry about it. Just vote for whatever you would choose if you had all of them available to you. And a whole bunch of you voted. Tons of votes on this one, which I love to see. A reminder that the Patreon poll is completely free. You don't have to be supporting me. You don't have to be supporting the podcast on Patreon. You can just swing on by. The poll usually goes up on Tuesday evenings. So just cruise on by patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Cast your vote every week. And the winner, well, it turns out the plurality of you, in fact, the majority of you, agreed with me. 52% of the votes chose Cybertruck. 19% of you indeed voted for Model Y, no doubt on the back of wanting to try out the Juniper, the new Model Y. S and X were almost dead even. 14% voted Model S, 13% voted Model X, and just 2% voted for the Model 3. And as the owner of 2 Model 3s, I won't say I'm hurt, but that makes me just a little bit sad, because the Model 3 performance specifically, I mean, I didn't break these out into trim, otherwise there would have been a dozen or more choices, and I didn't want to do that in the poll. But the Model 3 performance, if you haven't ever driven a performance Tesla, is well worth taking out on a test drive if you ever get a chance. So little sad at just 2% of the vote for Model 3, but unsurprisingly, Cybertruck dominating the vote there. So I hope a bunch of you will go out and test drive the Cybertruck or any of the other vehicles that you may have voted for. Speaking of the Cybertruck, Tesla has finally started accepting Cybertrucks as trade-ins. I saw this on Drive Tesla Canada this week, who wrote, "Ever since the Cybertruck's release on November 30th, 2023, Tesla has not accepted the Cybertruck on trade-ins if owners wanted to get rid of the truck and purchase a different Tesla. That has finally changed, according to a Foundation Series owner from Princeton, New Jersey, who recently submitted a trade-in request out of curiosity. To his surprise, Tesla responded with an offer, $65,400, and that's in US dollars, for his 2024 Cybertruck, which had just over 6,200 miles on the odometer. The truck originally cost $100,000, because it was certainly a dual-motor Foundation Series. This translates to a 35% loss in value, or approximately $5.63 for every mile driven. The trade-in offer also mentioned the option to transfer FSD to a new vehicle, an offer that was reintroduced earlier this year for an unspecified amount of time. The trade-in offer was shared on the Cybertruck Owners Club forum, and while it indicated a high rate of depreciation, other owners noted that offers from third-party companies were even lower. Carvana, for example, reportedly offered just $54,000 for a similar truck. In some cases, Cybertrucks with fewer than 10,000 miles have received offers as low as $49,000 from third-party platforms, a 50% drop in value within a year. For now, Tesla appears to only be offering trade-in values on the Foundation Series Cybertrucks, and only in the US. Well, no doubt those numbers might make you wince. I certainly recognize that, but we always knew it was going to go this way, right? I'm not excusing it, not trying to defend it, certainly, but we all kind of knew it was going to go this way. I mean, the Foundation Series was always more about getting one of the first trucks in your neighborhood than about getting any kind of deal. And to be fair, this has been the case with any early run Tesla. Heck, I have joked 100 times here on this podcast about how no one has ever paid more for a Model 3 than I did. Because in July of 2018, to very quickly tell the story again, I paid $80,000 before any incentives or anything, 80 grand for one of the very first Model 3 performances. Fast forward 6.5 years, and I paid just under $50,000. Granted, that's after incentives, so I guess I gotta level that out. But it's if we go back, the 2018 was 70 after incentives. $50K is what I paid for the second generation version that is better in literally every way. In fact, more recently even, the early Model S Plaid buyers paid upwards of $150,000 for a fully loaded car, and after 2 to 3 years, you could get a fully loaded Plaid S for about $40K less than that. Now, for those that worry about depreciation, well, I can't defend Teslas there because Teslas have just never been good in the depreciation department, presumably because of how quickly the company improves the products, right? The cars are just always getting better. They don't wait for model years. And I think that's mostly a good thing, except when it comes to used car values. But anyway, I am glad to see Tesla now taking the Foundation Series Cybertrucks in trade. Hey, just in case another Tesla ends up being a better fit for somebody, like, say, the new Model Y, as a more recent example. Next up, as we get warmed up this week, in a move that not only won't surprise you, but might make you go, wait, they hadn't already done that? Drive Tesla Canada, once again, reports that Tesla has installed a megacharger for the Tesla Semi on site at Giga Texas. Drive Tesla Canada writing, the newly installed charger is located near the outbound car lot and was first spotted in a drone flyover of the site by Brad Sloan. Unlike the megacharger station at Giga Nevada, which can accommodate up to 4 semi-trucks, this site features just a single stall. With its small size and being the only megacharger in Texas, it is designed for bobtail configurations, meaning trucks without trailers, rather than the pull-through design commonly used for long-haul trucking. This is the first megacharger at a Tesla facility beyond the station at Giga Nevada, where the semi-trucks are built. The company has also announced plans to significantly expand its megacharger network and deploy 46 public megacharger stations by early 2027, aiming to facilitate long-haul electric trucking across North America. These stations will be strategically located along major freight corridors, mostly across the southern part of the country. Well, presumably, if the next closest megachargers to this lone Giga Texas stall are in Nevada, it means, I would think, in Texas, that Tesla is going to use one or more Tesla semi-trucks within a 250-mile radius of Giga Texas. Enough, far enough where you can go out and get back on a single charge. I mean, I guess for local deliveries, vehicle deliveries specifically, that might make sense if they want to get fancy and fun and use the semi to deliver cars in Texas, which they've done before here in California. And they'll probably also use it for transportation of parts, I would imagine as well. And, the thought occurred to me as I was writing these notes, pretty soon this won't be the slightest bit newsworthy, as you heard there in the mention of the 2027 megacharger corridor plan. But for now, as we sit here in what is essentially mid-2025, it is most definitely still newsworthy. I think we can all look forward to the day when it is no longer even newsworthy to hear about another megacharger station going up somewhere. For those of you kindly supporting my efforts here week in and week out with the podcast on Patreon at the $10 tier or higher, which is the most popular tier, I hope you guys checked out and enjoyed this week's Lightning Round episode, which was about the professional detailing services that I recommend most in order of preference and why. So I just thought I would kind of delve into my take on detailing now that I've had a professionally detailed car for almost 7 years and just had a second one professionally detailed. So just talking through that. If that's of interest, I hope you'll listen to it on Patreon. If you would like to hear that, as well as the other 144 Lightning Round mini episodes, they're available on Patreon anytime you join up at that $10 per month tier or higher. But you don't have to do that. The support tiers on Patreon start at just $5 a month. And for that $5 a month, you will get an ad-free episode every week, and you'll get early access to that ad-free episode every week. Basically, as soon as I upload it, which is generally late Friday evenings, you've got immediate access to it before it goes public on Sunday morning. So the website to go to is, of course, that Patreon I mentioned earlier, patreon.com/Tesla Podcast, and you can find all the information about all the different support tiers there. So check it out. Join our little open chat Patreon community where we've got people posting up different things, helping each other out, just posting up fun stuff. There's a lot going on over there at Patreon. The polls, the lightning rounds, the discussion chat channel, all kinds of fun stuff. Join me. I'd be humbled and grateful if you decided to support the podcast. Continuing with this week's Tesla news, Bloomberg is reporting that Tesla currently has a specific date picked out to launch the first step of its Robotaxi service in Austin, Texas. Bloomberg reporting Tesla is poised to begin its long-awaited Robotaxi service in Austin on June 12th, according to a person familiar with the matter, a milestone in Elon Musk's plan to reshape the company around driverless vehicles and artificial intelligence. The previously unreported date was discussed internally and could still change, said the person, asking not to be identified because the information is private. Musk has previously said the service would begin by the end of June. In preparation for the launch, the company this week operated a test vehicle on public roads in Austin with no one in the driver's seat for the first time, according to the person. A Tesla engineer was riding in a passenger seat of a Model Y SUV, which drove autonomously with no remote operation, the person said. Well, if Tesla stays with that date, just trying to pick this apart as best I can here for every little nugget of potential information. That date is a Thursday. Now, I recognize, or I admit, I guess would be the better word, I'm not sure if that means anything. I just thought it was worth mentioning. Maybe Thursdays historically have the least amount of traffic? I don't know. Or it might simply have nothing to do with a specific day of the week, and it's simply the soonest that the Tesla AI team thinks that they can have the software ready to go and reliably rolled out for members of the public to get in these cars and have them be driven somewhere. So if the date holds of June 12th, it means they'll have about 6 weeks of data by the time the next quarterly shareholder letter and earnings call happen, which, if history holds, the next shareholder letter and earnings call are likely to take place on July 23rd. And by the way, as I was thinking about this thought occurred to me. I presume that all of the cars in the Robotaxi fleet at first are probably going to be new Juniper Model Ys that have the front bumper camera, since the Cybercab also has the front bumper camera, and Tesla has outright said in their messaging on the new Model Y about the front bumper camera that they are going to be using that extra camera for FSD. So it would certainly make sense if these initial vehicles are front bumper camera equipped. The only other Tesla for this moment, until the new S and X sneak out, which kind of surprisingly still hasn't happened yet as of this recording. But obviously the Cybertruck's the only other vehicle in the Tesla lineup with a front bumper camera, but it has its own FSD branch going on because it has its own unique challenges with steer-by-wire and that four-wheel, rear-wheel steering. So it is not quite a one-to-one situation with FSD if you compare a Cybertruck running the latest version of FSD with a Model Y running the latest version of FSD. But anyway, I suppose it's not necessarily going to be guaranteed that there'll be Junipers, since, after all, the plan is for this to roll out to customers in some cities by the end of the year, and most of those customers don't have cars with front bumper cameras. Although, side note, it'll really sting if, in fact, Tesla does start the public rollout, with front bumper camera equipped cars, because that would mean most of us will have to sit on the sidelines for a bit longer if that's how they choose to begin the rollout. But that's still TBD. All remains to be seen on that. But as far as June 12th goes, as this episode publishes, that's about a week and a half away. So I guess my final note on this headline subject this week is this. I wouldn't expect Tesla to hold any big event for this. I just don't think that they're going to want a spectacle and a media circus. They're starting small with just a few cars in a geo-fenced area within Austin. It's not all of Austin by any stretch. It is a smaller contained area within Austin that, as we heard last week, is going to avoid intersections as best it can. And Tesla's going to work through issues with that small rollout and then expand in both vehicle scale and in geographic range of the cars. So I think they probably want this to be as low-key as it can be at first. I mean, they know it's going to get a lot of attention regardless, but any flaw is going to get, in my humble opinion, this is certainly, I always say I'm a Tesla fanboy. I mean, I try to be fair, but what I'm about to say is certainly leaning more towards the Tesla fanboy side of things. I think any flaw that occurs with the Robotaxi system is going to get unfairly magnified. Not saying that we shouldn't report on flaws in the system, but I think you all have been following Tesla long enough. You've seen the FUD. You may have even experienced it yourself. Any little tiny issue is just going to get blown up into a DEFCON 1 crisis scenario if you were to believe the news media on it. But anyway, my point is that I suspect Tesla will not want to invite the attention, and thus I don't think there's going to be any kind of event surrounding this. I think it's going to be a quiet launch, and then if all goes well, we'll probably hear about it from Tesla themselves, maybe the next day, maybe a couple days later, something like that. But if you're in Austin and you happen to try this out right after it launches in those first few days, I humbly ask you to please call into the show, or in fact, strike that. Better yet, if you're comfortable with it, email me, teslapodcast@gmail.com, because I would like to do a short interview with you and have you on the podcast to talk about your initial Tesla Robotaxi experience. So any of my Austin friends or anybody that might be in Austin for this, please file that away. I'd love to hear from you. Also, on the back of this, here's something else fun. Tesla CEO Elon Musk posting on X saying, quote, "For the past several days," corroborating the report that I just read you there from Bloomberg, "Tesla has been testing self-driving Model Y cars, parentheses, no one in the driver's seat, on Austin public streets with no incidents, a month ahead of schedule. Next month, first self-delivery from factory to customer." And that's the end of that Elon post. It is that last bit that is most fascinating to me, because it was a long time ago now that Elon first talked about the cars one day delivering themselves to customers. In fact, I was curious, so I looked it up. And Elon first said that in November of 2018, with the target for those self-delivering cars being the end of 2019, which means it's been about 6.5 years since his initial statement on that. So if Tesla is finally about to achieve that, even if it's just a super simple route to a customer that's right down the street from Giga Texas, that is still a pretty cool and pretty huge step for autonomy. Love it. Long term, I do want to add one thing, not to rain on the parade here, but I can't help but think about this because I know people. I have people in my life that work in Tesla deliveries. What I don't want to see happen long term is for this to put any Tesla delivery team members out of work. Let's hope that is not a thing that's going to happen. Moving along this week, still rolling. Tesla, speaking of rolling, rolled out the child left alone detection feature in a new software update that's making its way out to the fleet. It's 2025.14.12. One more tip of the cap to Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, "Tesla has officially rolled out a potentially life-saving feature in its latest vehicle software update, 2025.14.12, child left alone detection. The feature, which was first revealed by Tesla engineers in February, is now becoming available to Tesla vehicles equipped with in-cabin radar systems. Designed to prevent tragic cases of children being left unattended in hot or cold vehicles, the system actively monitors the cabin and triggers alerts when it detects a child may have been left behind. Once the system identifies an unattended child inside the car, it initiates a series of escalating warnings. The vehicle's exterior hazard lights begin flashing, an audible alert is activated, and a push notification is sent to the owner's Tesla app. These warnings are repeated at intervals until someone returns to the vehicle. Notably, all data collected for this feature is processed locally on the vehicle's hardware and is not sent to Tesla's servers, addressing potential privacy concerns. The feature is enabled by default, and it's compatible with Model Ys from 2022 or later, Model 3s from 2024 or later, meaning basically none of the old Model 3s, all of the new Model 3s, Cybertruck, and Model S's and X's from 2021 or later, meaning all of the refreshed S's and X's starting in 2021. Now, you may recall that I was in the room when two Tesla engineers revealed this during their tour of the new Model Y that they gave at a local Tesla store here in the Bay Area back in February. And as I recall, I'm pretty sure I played you the clip of it and asked them if the new Model 3 would get this too, and they did say, and I'm pretty sure I played the clip, they said yes, it is in the new Model 3 as well. And you just love to see it. I mean, this is next level safety stuff right here. Next level. I mean, I hope nobody ever needs it, and I put needs in quotes because obviously it's not something that you'd voluntarily need. So I hope nobody ever has to be alerted by this, but certainly I'm glad that it's there, pardon me. That is really, really awesome stuff. Moving now to other EV news, as I talked about at the very top of the show, Rivian's upcoming R2 compact SUV has entered a new phase in its development journey, that phase being real-world testing. Drive Tesla Canada on it again, writing, quote, "Production intent prototypes are now being put through their paces on public roads and rugged trails across North America ahead of the vehicle's highly anticipated launch in 2026. While it's not uncommon for automakers to camouflage pre-production vehicles, Rivian is turning that tradition into a creative showcase. The R2 fleet is cloaked in vibrant, nature-inspired wraps that blend function and flair. The wraps serve the traditional purpose of obscuring design details that may still be in flux, but they also act as a bold announcement that testing is in full swing. Quote, "We looked to the outdoors, textures, patterns, movement. We wanted to wrap the R2 in nature and have it feel alive, dynamic, and a little mysterious, almost like a children's storybook," explained Jonathan Schupak, Rivian's senior director of exterior design in a Rivian Stories. Since the vehicle has already been unveiled, you might think the camouflage is just for aesthetics, but Schupak notes there may still be tweaks underway. Quote, "The wraps help keep attention on the right things while also letting us stay flexible during development," he added. The R2 prototypes are being pushed to their limits in extreme conditions as Rivian gathers critical data to fine-tune performance, durability, and comfort. This real-world validation process will ensure the R2 lives up to Rivian's reputation for adventure-ready electric vehicles when deliveries begin next year. Well, first of all, it's awesome news that we're not even at the halfway point of 2025, and Rivian is already running pre-production builds out in the wild, which Tesla has referred to these in the past as alpha builds, to use Tesla terminology here, which, of course, Tesla themselves is using software terminology. But yeah, they're out and about on public streets, and that is a great sign for the R2 being on schedule. Second, I love that the team is leaning into cool wraps on these pre-pro builds, which is something that we also saw Tesla do with the early Cybertruck builds. Remember the Arctic camo wraps that a lot of people really liked when those were running around out in public? Now, I personally have yet to have the pleasure of seeing the R2 in person, so I am curious to see how much smaller the R2 feels in real life, like when you're standing in it, or even sitting in it. I don't know when I might get that opportunity, but even just standing outside of it, how much smaller it feels in real life versus what the numbers say. And in case you're curious about the numbers, I do have them. Let me pass those along to you. The current R1S is 200 inches long and 82 inches wide with the mirrors folded. The R2 is 185 inches wide and 75 inches wide, 185 inches long, sorry about that, and 75 inches wide with the mirrors folded. So in other words, it's a little over, what do we got? A foot and change shorter in length, and it's 7 inches narrower in the width department there. The Model Y, by comparison, 187 inches long, so the Y is 2 inches longer than the R2, and the Y is 78 inches wide with the mirrors folded, so they're close, but the R2 is just a tad smaller than the Y and quite a bit smaller than the R1S, although I would have to politely journalistically disagree with Drive Tesla Canada there. They called it a compact. It is not. The R3 is a compact. The R2 is a midsize, which is exactly what the Model Y is. Anyway, there's the update on the R2. You might see it if you live in maybe the Bay Area, since they're headquartered here, but maybe out in Normal, Illinois, where their factory is. Regardless, super cool that the R2s are starting to hit the streets to do some real-world testing. Finally this week, in more other EV news, Hyundai has begun real-world testing of an AI-powered EV charging robot. Saw this one on Teslarati, who wrote, Hyundai announced that it has officially launched real-world testing of its AI-powered EV charging robot, which it is referring to as the ACR. The Korean company is partnering with both Kia and Incheon International Airport. I sincerely apologize if I've butchered that. For the testing phase, which was launched with a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU. The pilot program is going to be used to lay the groundwork for future robot use for EV charging. Incheon already has a reputation that aligns with the pilot program, as it has the largest eco-friendly vehicle infrastructure in Korea, according to Korea Jung-ang Daily, which first reported the launch of the pilot program. Hyundai is partnering with Kia's robotics lab to provide hardware and software solutions for this early rollout. Yan Hee-won, president of Hyundai Motors R&D division, said, quote, this marks an important turning point in validating the practical value of future mobility technologies. With customized automatic charging solutions, we aim to deliver a more convenient and enhanced mobility experience for users, end quote. The testing phase will be limited in the sense that the charging robot will be deployed for a fleet of eco-friendly airport vehicles, meaning not the public. Those who park their EVs at the airport will not be able to use it while they're traveling, at least at first. Thank you to Teslarati. And again, another awesome story this week. What a fun technology story this is. It's a meeting of both tech and electric cars. Obviously, pretty much all of us here are interested in the Optimus project in some way, shape, or form. Those of us who have been around the block a few times with Tesla, us old heads, might remember the Robo charging snake that Tesla prototyped in like 2015. If you remember, I asked Lars Moravy about it on the interview with him on episode 499. So this is a real version of that's going out into the wild, at least in the testing phase here at first. So Tesla certainly, their wireless induction charging approach makes a lot more sense at scale. For one, because deleting parts is what Tesla does, and the amount of moving parts in this charging robot, particularly when you factor in adverse weather conditions, could mean, and I hope it doesn't, but it could mean that these ACRs need maintenance fairly regularly compared to, by contrast, what Tesla's doing, a wireless charging solution that has zero moving parts. But I don't say them to compare them or to put down what Hyundai's doing here. I think what Hyundai is doing is still super cool, nevertheless. I want to see it in action. I mean, I don't currently have any plans to fly to Korea, but this hopefully will expand over time, and I hope that we do get to see this in action for ourselves. I hope it ends up coming over here too with NACS support, which, if it did, would basically be an actual production version of that Robo Charger Snake prototype that Tesla did 10 years ago. All right, that is everything I've got for you in the world of Tesla news. But stick with me, I've got plenty of your excellent Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls queued up and ready to go right after this.
Hi, this is Franz von Holzhausen, and you're listening to Ride the Lightning with Ryan McCaffrey, the Tesla unofficial podcast.
Before I get to your phone calls, let me mention my friends at the new Arrow. I met these guys, as I've been telling you the last couple weeks, met them at a Tesla takeover event a couple times. They're based in Sweden, and they reached out because they are now investing in a U.S. subsidiary. So their deal is they sell really cool-looking wheels. They're Tesla drivers that a decade ago started exploring the aftermarket wheels available for Teslas. One of the founders bought some nice-looking ones from a well-known brand, but found a 15% range penalty, so he really dove deep and asked himself why. And when he couldn't find any wheels designed specifically for EVs, well, he and his partner started designing themselves. Arguably, the wheel is the single least most customizable, the single user customizable part of the car that not only affects the look of the car the most, but also critically on an EV, the range. And this is why Tesla now has the Arrow wheels by default on most of their cars. It's to improve range. Well, the new Arrow went a step further with directional design and solid alloy Arrow wheels. They won a bunch of design awards. You can check out those award-winning designs, see what they have to offer right now. The US site that was just launched is tnawheels.com. There's also a link in the episode description you can click. And it sells exclusively to the US, and most of the wheels are now in stock in New Jersey, ready for you. If you want to order them, they'll get them right out to you. And best of all, you can use the code TESLAPODCAST to get a 10% discount on tnawheels.com. If you happen to be a tire shop owner, there's a B2B offer as well. But check them out, tnawheels.com. 10% discount code is Tesla Podcast, all one word. Speaking of friends of the podcast that can hopefully help you out, make your EV experience better, Accelerate Auto and their XCare extended warranty option. These guys have redefined the electric car extended warranty. They're not thinking outside the box. They've thrown the box away, crushed it, disassembled it, and built a geodesic dome instead. They are looking ahead, trying to build the future here, build a better product. It is what innovative organizations do, and that's where XCare came from. XCare is a comprehensive extended warranty designed exclusively for EVs. And on the back of that, they also re-engineered the entire customer experience, because we all know how bad that can be. As I've told you, I have a 3-year, 40,000-mile plan from XCare, from Accelerate Auto, on our 2018 Model 3. It has come in handy a few times, submitting claims, getting compensated, getting the payment, super easy. I really honestly have no complaints. It's been great. So I do recommend their service, whether you want to cover the entire car or if you just want to cover your high voltage battery and drive unit, aka the most expensive parts of the car. If anything were to happen to them out of warranty, your vehicle may qualify for this coverage too. Best of all, because you're a Ride the Lightning listener, you get $100 off when you select XCare's one-time payment option. Just use the discount code LIGHTNING at accelerateauto.com/xcare. Again, click the link in the episode description. It's XCELERATEAUTO.com/XCARE. Discount code LIGHTNING for $100 off when you select XCare's one-time payment option. It's time to hear from all of you in the Ride the Lightning hotline, your chance to call in and potentially be featured on an upcoming episode of Ride the Lightning, as the next 5 callers are going to be. It's a great crop of calls this week. As I was listening to all of them, one after the other was just an excellent phone call. I love hearing from all of you. If you've got a Tesla or EV question, comment, discussion topic, feel free to call in and just share it. And maybe I'll share it with everybody else and talk through it. So there are 2 easy ways to make that phone call. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software and record your question. Please try to keep that question to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many callers each week as possible. And then email that file to me at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and just call in and leave a message on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's toll-free. You can call at any time, and the number is 1-888-989-8752. That number again, 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special out there with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted like I do with them, or put onto a keepsake. Yes, Mina. Mina's excited about this. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is Noah from Columbus, Ohio.
My name's Noah. I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio. I've been listening to the podcast for a couple years now. A little bit of a Tesla fanboy, as I'm sure many of your listeners are. Have not bought my first Tesla yet. We held out, I felt like 2 years, I think, for the Model Y refresh. I think as soon as it was rumored, I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for that. We were hoping in the refresh for the 7-seat option for that smaller third row. Small kids and all that for the next 5+ years. I'm curious. I've heard the rumors and listened to podcasts where you talked about the 7-row option with the extended wheelbase that may come to Shanghai maybe next year. Is there anything in the winds about having the same 7-seat option in the current Model Y that existed in the previous version? Appreciate any insight you might have. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Noah, thanks for the call and for listening to the podcast. I have good news for you, and it's straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Back when Lars and Franz went on Jay Leno's Garage to talk about the new Model Y back in February, Lars confirmed that the 7-seat option will be coming later this year. I went and dug up the clip for you. Take a listen.
It's actually, we're starting with the Launch Edition. And then all of the other variants, the dual motor, base edition, rear wheel drive, performance, the 7-seater options, those will come later in the year.
So with about 95% confidence, I would say that this will almost certainly be the same Model Y that exists now, but with that small, arguably kids-only third row, rather than the rumored longer wheelbase 3-row Model Y version that you heard me report on from the Reuters rumor a bit more recently. It's still TBD as to whether that version is real. Again, I'm inclined to believe Reuters. They have a good track record here. But even beyond that, it's still TBD as to whether that version, if it's real, would come to North America, as you mentioned. But according to Lars, we are definitely getting a 3-row option in the existing Model Y in the next 6 months. And in fact, as I listen back to that clip for a second time there after playing it, it's Lars maybe coincidence here, but he happened to say all the versions in order. So he said, or at least as it's gone so far, he said launch series, dual motor, rear wheel drive, and then he said performance and 3-row. So we've been seeing the performance version out testing, camouflage, front and rear. Performance version seems to be next, and so 3rd row is seemingly the last variant, but it is expected, as Lars says, expecting that before the end of the year. So, Noah, your long wait is about to pay off. Thank you so much for your call. Next up is Marvin from Bellingham, Washington.
Hey, Ryan. This is Marvin Van Horn from Bellingham, Washington, and I have 2 questions that maybe you have some knowledge on. One, have you heard anything about us ever getting the bird's eye view like so many other EVs and ICE cars have? I know Elon's promised it in the past, but I never hear any discussion of it, and more of us need to be asking for it. Question 2, I recently got a new Model Y with the bumper camera and love it. I wonder if there's going to be a retrofit for my Model 3, which I bought in the last 6 months. I would really love to have that bumper camera there. So if you hear anything on that, any information you can add would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Ryan. Great podcast.
Marvin, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you for the kind words. I will start with the second question first about the front bumper camera on the new Model 3. I think there's a decent chance. Not one that I would bet on necessarily, but Tesla has stated it's for FSD, and as autonomy is clearly Elon's number one goal right now, I don't think anybody would really disagree with me on that. It makes sense for Tesla to offer it and get more fully autonomous cars on the road. Plus, personally, I mean, FSD is great. I do want it for that, but I also just want it for parking. The front splitter on my Model 3 Performance is fairly low, and I don't want to scrape it on a parking space curb stop. So I think there's a practical day-to-day use case for it in addition to the bigger picture autonomy use case. And we know from our white hat hacker friend Green the Only that the hardware 4 FSD computer that's in every new Model 3 has the port for a front camera, which means all Tesla would have to do would be to wire it up, make a firmware update on the software side, boom, done. Now I say that probably sounding like, oh, that's trivial. And I recognize that's not trivial for service to do, but they did upgrade cameras on the older S's and X's, and they upgraded FSD computers on the older cars too. In fact, my 2018 was born with a hardware 2.5 computer and was upgraded to a hardware 3 computer once I'd paid for FSD. So I think it's definitely possible for a retrofit here. And again, as a new Model 3 owner myself, I really, really hope they do it. I would pay anything within reason to get that front bumper camera, enough to make it worth the service team's time. I mean, the parts cost is probably trivial. I mean, it's just the camera and the wire, really. After that, it's all labor. It's all the labor of mounting it up in the lower front bumper, then running the wiring back in a secure, weatherproof way back to the FSD computer as it is on the new Y. Personally, if I were to put a number on it, I think the most I would pay would be $1,000. Beyond that, I don't know if I could justify it after that. But if it's $1,000 or less, yeah, I would do it. Now, as to your first question about the bird's eye view for a backup camera, that sadly doesn't seem like it's happening. And the reason I say that is because I feel like it probably would have happened by now if it was going to happen. Although then again, maybe the addition of the front bumper camera on all of the cars, well, at least except for the Model 3 for now, since S and X are about to get it, maybe that would give Tesla the extra camera data that they would need to pull off a proper bird's eye camera view. I certainly agree that it'd be awesome. It already is a really nice feature on the cars that offer it. Marvin, take care. Thank you so much again for your call. Next, I go to Joe from Steubenville, Ohio.
Hello, this is Joe from Steubenville, Ohio, and I enjoyed the podcast. I have a Tesla question. I have a 2017 Model X. A few times I have glided to my garage with -1 or -2% charge. I expect some other owners have experienced the same range anxiety. I know Teslas can go slightly below 0, but is there any data as to what the actual limit in the red would be? Thanks.
Hey, Joe. First, thank you for calling in. Second, congratulations on being in the 0% club. That is a club with limited membership, kind of like Club 33 at Disneyland. That is the community's fun, unofficial name, not Club 33, the 0% club, for folks who have drained their car down to 0% charge and still made it to the next charger without the car leaving you stranded. So now to answer your question, Tesla, of course, doesn't give an official answer, presumably because they don't want to be held liable for it, which, okay, in my humble opinion, that does make sense. But the best community estimate is that there is about a 10-mile buffer after you hit 0%. So I hope that helps. Hope that helps you and maybe somebody else out there in case there's any other folks out there that end up joining the 0% club. 2 more calls this week. The first of those comes from Andrew in Ottawa.
Hey Ryan, Andrew from Ottawa here. I'm calling because, as many other people, I got that 48-hour offer for a model of your choice to borrow for longtime owners, or I guess now everyone. Subtext, please buy a new vehicle. But anyway, I thought, hey, let's go drive my dream car. So I borrowed the Model X on Friday morning. And because they're closed on Sundays, I had it until Sunday night. So I got 3 full days with the Model X, and I loved it. I felt safe because there's no way I can afford it anyway, so I'm not going to be swayed because I can't get it. But oh my god, I loved it, and it was great driving my dream car. I brought it to my 11-year-old's nephew's birthday party, did the dance for them, loved it. So one thing that I wish there was on that, part of the dance, one of the dances, is that the going doors do like their flapping motion. I think it would be so cool to be able to do a one-door wave at someone, so bring it up and then just bring the large part up and down a little. It would be a hilarious, cute little Model X wave with a door, and that would be a lot of fun. But wow, what a blast that was. Thanks for everything you do. Take care. Bye.
Andrew, thanks for your call. I am so glad to hear that you took advantage of that 48-hour test drive offer and had such a fun time with the Model X. You know, I was just sitting in one for the first time in a very long time at the Tesla event that I went to at a nearby showroom and delivery center this past weekend. I think I might have mentioned it, that it was coming up on last week's show. And anyway, I forgot how absolutely amazing that car is, particularly if you're sitting in the second row in the 6-seat configuration, which I happened to be in that showroom last weekend. You get in and you get out via the awesome Falcon Wing doors. You've got a ton of space, ton of leg room in front of you and next to you in that 6-seat configuration. You've got a comfy chair on the pedestal. And from the second row, you get the full view of that giant big sky windshield that extends all the way up over the heads of the first row occupants. The X is really an amazing car, and your suggestion to add a one-door wave to the dances, awesome, 10 out of 10, no notes suggestion, and I wish Tesla would add that immediately. They should just add it in as something that you can do anytime, like not even tied to a dance, but it also should absolutely be the last move in any Model X dance, right? Like, kind of like how a lot of real dancers will wave to the crowd after their performance. I think this is an awesome idea, Andrew. Cheers to you, sir. And our final caller this week, last but most certainly not least at all, is regular caller James from the Bay Area. Haven't heard from him in a bit. Here he is.
Hey, what up, Ryan? How's it going? James from the Bay Area here. Yeah, quick question. I was wondering, let's say Tesla wasn't around, Tesla didn't exist, and you were buying an EV today and you had a budget of $60,000. Which one would you buy? Also, let's say you were buying another car, totally separate purchase, and you had a budget of $100,000. Yeah, that's a fun number. $100,000. Which one would you buy? And yeah, just would love to hear your thoughts on that. So you're buying 2 vehicles. You can't combine the money. So one $60,000 purchase and one $100,000 purchase. All right, Ryan.
James, you're really good at these calls. This is not the first time you've presented a fun thought experiment. I love it. And so for the sake of this thought exercise, I'm going to pretend that all of the other EVs on the market would still exist, which I think is what you'd meant for this fun little question, because in real life, I am of the opinion that if Tesla had never existed or had failed at some point fairly early on, that we would have very, very few and possibly no other EVs. I genuinely believe that. I don't think Rivian would exist. I don't think Lucid would exist, or any other EV-only automaker. And I don't think any of the legacy automakers would be doing EVs in any meaningful way, as a number of them have finally started to do because of Tesla now. So with that caveat out of the way, for $60,000, and I did put some thought into this, by the way. I had to do some Googling to double check prices. So for 60 grand, I would probably personally go with the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Even though I'm not an SUV guy. I mean, it doesn't really look like an SUV. It just kind of, in practice, is one. I just really love how much personality that car has. And from most accounts, including a coworker of mine who has one, it's a really solid car. Now, I would have chosen the Ioniq 5N, which is their performance version, basically, because I love going quick. I love the speed and the quickness of EVs. But I looked it up, and the N starts at $67,000, so it's disqualified from your criteria here. Now, things certainly get easier with a $100,000 budget. I had to look it up. A bare bones Porsche Taycan doesn't work here because, according to Google, those start at $101,000 for the 2025 model. So, honestly, I think I would go with a Rivian R1S in this scenario. I went to their website, and after listening to your criteria again, making sure I've got the right frame of mind here for this, I did some configuration, and a nicely equipped dual motor R1S with the 410-mile max range battery pack was $95,400. Now, I know I just said that I'm not an SUV guy, but the R1S is so well regarded, and I do like its looks, and I do like its Tesla-like interface as well. Plus, the performance on it is awesome. So I would go with that. Again, in a world where Tesla just doesn't exist, that is what and all these other cars magically did, that's what I would go with for a $100,000 budget. James, thank you so much for your call. That was a fun little thought exercise. And thank you to everybody for taking the time to call in. I will get to more of your Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls on next week's podcast. So do keep them coming. Keep those questions, comments, discussion topics coming in. You can call in one of two easy ways, and I gave you both of those call-in methods a little earlier in the podcast back at the top of this segment. But now it is time to tell you about what's going on with me and my car, the Soul of Adventure. But I actually want to talk for a second about our old car, the 2018, the Spirit of Adventure. And the reason I want to talk about that car is because of FSD right now. I understand that AI4 is getting all of the attention as Tesla makes this huge push to launch the Robotaxi service in Austin and then expand it out from there. But to any Tesla AI team members listening to this, I don't know if any of them do, I am begging you from the bottom of my heart, please, can we get a fix for the AI3's months old now, this has been going on for months, the intra-lane drifting bug, meaning the car wanders back and forth drunkenly within its own lane. Sometimes it's even gone on the lane line, like hit the little bumpers, the little bump things that are on the freeway lines to let you know, hey, you're veering out of your lane here. It just wanders far too close to the edge of lanes, and often other cars way, way too often. And it is making FSD stressful to use in that car, which is the opposite of how you're supposed to feel when you're using FSD. And before anybody writes me, yes, I did even go ahead and reset my camera calibration in that car. And unfortunately, it did not help at all. It has really honestly made FSD on the 2018 not very enjoyable to use. I have to keep watch over it like a hawk making sure it just doesn't drift too close to other cars, because it absolutely has done that to the point where I felt the need to take over repeatedly in those scenarios. So totally get the push on AI4 and Robotaxi, but even if this is the end for Hardware 3, for AI3, and I'm just going to have to wait for the AI4 retrofit that Elon promised all of us that bought FSD with AI3 cars, you don't have to do anything else, Tesla. Just please fix that bug. I just need the car to stay centered in the lane again so that FSD is reliably predictable to use. That's all I need here. All right. An entertainment recommendation for this week. I am not quite done with this season of television yet, but I am very much enjoying it. And that show is on Netflix. It's called 4 Seasons. It's about this group of adult couple friends. It's like three couple friends? Anyway, Tina Fey's in it, and Steve Carell's in it. And, well, it's pretty funny. I've been really enjoying it. It's been a fun show. So if you need something light, no drama, it's just a comedy, check out 4 Seasons on Netflix. Now for your Tesla Pro Tip of the Week, we go to Nick from Northeast Ohio.
Hello again, Ryan. This is Nick from Northeast Ohio. Thanks again for all you do for the community. Calling in with a pro tip this week. This is something that happened not too long ago. I was coming out of a very bitter winter here in Northeast Ohio. And everything I was doing in my 2023 Model Y long range, I could not get it warm in the cabin. I would take it all the way to high and seemed to always be struggling. So I thought there was something wrong with the heat pump. So I reached out to my contact here in Akron, Ohio, who is always phenomenal when it comes to anything I ever need. And he said to go ahead and put it on, take it to high, and if it ramps up the fans and blows warm air, it is most likely the HEPA filter. It's not the heat pump. I guess the perforations or how much it filters is very, very fine. And if you do a little country driving or in areas that have a lot of things in the air, the HEPA filter can clog up pretty quickly. So at that time, I had about 65,000 miles on my Model Y. And of course, I do a lot of driving. And sure enough, it heated right up. So I stopped by, did an over-the-counter pickup, replaced it, and right back to like the day I drove it home. Everything worked fine. So that's absolutely what it was. So put it on recirc. If it ramps up, warms up when it's on recirc, most likely that is telling you it's a HEPA filter and it's not a costly repair like a heat pump. And I will tell you this too, the HEPA filter, very, very simple replacement as compared to the cabin filter, which me being 6'3", I feel like I need to be a contortionist in order to replace those filters down there. But the HEPA filter is very simple. The YouTube video that Tesla puts out is very good, easy replacement. So hopefully that helps somebody out there that might be having this similar issue. And thanks again for all you do, and have a great one.
This is a fantastic pro tip, Nick. Thank you so much for the call and the kind words. And I have no doubt that you will help out at least somebody out there with this one. I couldn't help but laugh when your call broke up on exactly the word we needed to hear, by the way. And I was able to suss it out with context clues later. Recirc. You came back around to it for us near the end there. So we do know exactly what you were saying. But anyway, thank you again. And I wish you many hundreds of thousands of happy miles driven in good health in your Model Y. Cheers to you, Nick. And if anybody else out there would like to submit a pro tip of the week about your Tesla or other EV, I would love to hear it because I would like to add to my EV knowledge base and I would like to share it with everybody listening so that we can all add to our collective and respective EV knowledge bases. So you can send in a pro tip of the week the same way that you send in a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call. Again, it's 2 easy call-in methods, and I give you the instructions for those a little while ago in the podcast. And as usual, this is the part of the podcast where I mention some friends of Ride the Lightning that can hopefully be useful to you sooner or later. I'll start with abstractocean.com, who has so many great aftermarket Tesla accessories, and they continue to offer the 15% discount for first-time orders using the coupon code RTL Podcast at checkout. That coupon code, again, is all one word. It's RTL Podcast. And I thought for this time I would just go to abstractocean.com and click on the Juniper, click on the new Model Y. So here's some stuff they've got for the new Y if you happen to be getting or have already taken delivery of a new Model Y. They offer a satin black Tesla emblem, so the TESLA word mark on the back of your car. If you want to change that from the chrome that it comes with to the satin black, that's a $23 kit. They also have puddle lights for $60 in a couple different configurations. They have of course, the tempered glass ultra premium screen protector. That's $50. That's made from Gorilla Glass. There's the, silicone bumpers and charging pad for the 3 and the Y. That's $15. That's to give a little bit more defined shape to your wireless charger in the center console. More puddle lights. Ooh, nice little, look at this, full color animated center console LED light strips. It goes around the outside of the center console. That is an $85 kit. So just lots of neat stuff on here. And I could go on and on and on, but I will stop right there. So check them out, abstractocean.com. Don't forget that coupon code RTL Podcast for 15% off of your first order. The Snap Plate and newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus, available for S, X, 3, Y, and Cybertruck, including the new 2026 Model Y Juniper with its front bumper camera. The Snap Plate and Snap Plate Plus are available. You can get yours at everyamp.com/RTL. Don't forget to use the coupon code RTL as well for a discount. This is the front license plate bracket that's a nice, clean, minimalist design, but it's good and strong. And if you want to take it off, you can take it off without leaving anything behind. But when it's on there good. So if you want to take it off for car shows or while you're detailing it, put it back on to avoid tickets if you're parked at a parking meter, avoid those meter maids. If you're going through a toll road or bridge, something like that, you want to have it on there. I do recommend it. This is an excellent product for those folks that either want or need legally to have a front license plate on your car. So get yours again at everyamp.com/RTL. And for a discount, use the coupon code RTL. I am not sure if the puppy pawing at my desk is coming through. We've got another dog in another room squeaking toys. It's chaos unfolding here as the podcast draws to a close. So let me get through this. Immaculate Reflections. All right, you know what, pups? Why don't I pick you up? That way you're not clawing at the desk. Here, come here. Come sit with me. Oh my God, you're getting huge. Lily, the silly Labrador puppy, is getting very, very big. But she's getting very, very good. I don't want to jinx it, but this dog's 3.5 months old. And I admit, I'm not even taking her out. I'm not even making a point to take her out to go to the bathroom anymore in the yard. And she hasn't had an accident we're going on 3 days in a row. I won't call her completely potty trained, because from experience, I've learned that the progress is generally not linear. You'll make some great progress and then backtrack a bit, but this puppy is doing awesome so far. Aren't you so good? You're so good, Lily. Yes. Immaculate Reflections. I am a big fan of professional detailing, and specifically the professional detailing work that Immaculate Reflections did on both of my Teslas. So if you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area and you'd like to treat your car to a spa day, I honestly promise you that you will be thrilled when you pick the car up when it's done. And there's a discount for Ride the Lightning listeners. So go to the website, irdetailing.com. Maybe you want to do paint protection film on some or all of the car. Maybe you want to do ceramic coating so that you don't have to wax the car for the next 5-ish years. Maybe you want to do paint correction to get your paint finish looking as pristine as it possibly can. Whatever the case, Immaculate Reflections is happy to work with you and your budget and what you're looking to get out of your car, go to irdetailing.com, and when you reach out through the contact form there, make sure to mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener so that any work you have done, you'll have the Ride the Lightning listener discount applied. The Patreon, which I mentioned a little earlier in the podcast, I want to mention it one more time here. My Patreon page is found at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. That link is also in the episode description as well. That is the way that you can voluntarily choose to support the podcast. Your support would mean the world to me and my family. I want to thank those of you who are choosing to support. I try to make it, I don't want to say worth your while, because that's like a weird, I don't know. I try to express my thanks, put it that way, for your support by offering you these different perks and bonuses at each tier that stack up the higher up the tier ladder you go. So as I mentioned earlier, there's that most popular tier, the $10 per month tier. That gets you ad-free episodes every week. It gets you early access to those ad-free episodes every week. And it gets you access to all of the past, present, and future lightning round mini episodes that I do every week exclusively on Patreon. So check it out, patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. I would truly be humbled if you saw fit to sign up and support me. If you're not already following the podcast on your podcast service of choice, I recommend you do that. It's totally free, and the reason that I recommend you do it is because it means every time there's a new episode released, which with this podcast is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, you will get a push notification mentioning, hey, new Ride the Lightning is up, and then you just tap that push notification. It'll take you straight to your podcast app where you can immediately start listening to it, so you don't have to remember to go seek out each week's new episode. All you got to do on any of those big podcast services like Apple Podcasts and TuneIn and Spotify and YouTube Podcasts is search Ride the Lightning Tesla, and you should see me pop right up. Just click follow and you're good to go. You can follow me on X and or on Instagram. I have the same username on both, and that username is DMC_Ryan. You can email me anytime about Tesla or EV related things at the email address teslapodcast@gmail.com. And I think that'll just about do it. But of course, as always, I conclude the podcast by shouting out and thanking the top tier Patreon backers. I'll start with the Maximum Plaid crew. They are Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from, oh boy, here goes my voice. John, try that again. Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Clayton Goodfellow, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, and Nick Jacoby. Next up, the Roadster in Space tier backers. Oh, I should mention, by the way, too, the Patreon Hangout for June. I normally aim for the first Saturday of the month, but as I think I might have mentioned last week, I am going to be away on business for next weekend, this coming next weekend, the weekend of June 7th, 8th. So I will send out invites soon for the following Saturday. That's when the next monthly Patreon Zoom Hangout will be, which, by the way, if you're curious, well, who gets invited to that? It's everybody at the Maximum Plaid tier and higher. They get invited every month, and then anybody that makes a new or upgraded pledge gets a one-time thank you invite to that as a thank you for your new or upgraded pledge. So that'll be coming up here in the second weekend of June this month. Thank you to the Roadster in Space tier backers, Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Carol Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. And lastly, but certainly not least, these wonderful folks continue to support me at the now canceled Plaid level, but they're continuing to pledge, so they're going to continue to get all the perks and bonuses that they should, which does include a shout out at the end of each week's show. So thank you very much to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. Also, to Jerome Strack, I want to say good luck on the job that you're trying to get, put it that way. He's been in touch with me about something he's super excited about, so I wanted to wish him good luck and hope that comes through. And that will do it for episode 513 of Ride the Lightning, your weekly Tesla and EV podcast, for a snoozing Daisy the Boxer and a very not at all snoozing Mina's out. I don't know what Mina's up to. A definitely not snoozing Lily, the silly Labrador puppy. My name, of course, is Ryan McCaffrey. I want to thank you all for your time, for your attention, for your shared enthusiasm of these cars and what this company is up to. It's why we do it, right? It's why we're here. I love talking about Tesla cars specifically, but lately I've been having a good time talking about other EVs as well. In fact, I'm not going to name any names, but I had someone reach out to me, a listener reach out to me that said, "Hey, Ryan, I wanted to say that I've really been enjoying hearing about other EVs on the podcast." And this person even confessed that in the poll that I ran before I started doing it, when I said, "Are you interested in hearing about other EVs?" this person said they voted no, and then said, "You know what? I voted no, but I'm really, really enjoying it." So I hope everybody is. I hope you guys are, I'm doing it in moderation, just as it makes sense. It's not taking over the whole show. It's still very much a Tesla podcast, but I've been having fun getting to talk about other EVs out there now that there are so many other cool ones. Still think Teslas are the coolest, certainly, but there's some other neat stuff out there. So anyway, happy electric motoring, my friends, and I will see you all again next week.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.